This is our 1999 GMC Suburban, and admittedly, I'm a little bit of a fanboy for these 1990s GM trucks. But now we've owned this for 6 months, I've put quite a number of miles on it, and let's see, has the love affair ended? Here are the top 5 things you need to know about owning a 1990s GM truck. Number 5, durability and reliability. From my experience and from the experience of a lot of folks I've talked to, these things are practically indestructible. And here's the thing, right? There are certain YouTube channels out there that'll tell you the only reliable vehicles to buy are Toyotas and Nissans, and like, yeah, okay, I get it. Toyota and Nissan build some incredible vehicles, and American vehicles typically kind of have a reputation for being not so long-lived. Well, these trucks known as the GMT-400, be it the pickup trucks or the Suburban or the Tahoe or whatever, are so incredibly durable and reliable, they last forever. So, the heart of these vehicles, for the most part, you'll find some variation of the small block Chevy V8. In this case, we have the Vortec 5700. This is a 5.7 liter. Now, the earlier versions of this vehicle had a throttle body fuel injection. This one switched to port. These ones are a little bit more complex, but the takeaway here is these things are dirt simple compared to modern day vehicles. The transmission is the 4L60, which isn't quite as known for its longevity, but even still, with over 200,000 miles, this thing shifts like absolute butter. As long as you don't tow in drive, as long as you tow in gear ratio 3, they just keep going. These are some of the most reliable, cheapest rigs you can buy. I just love that about them, and they're easy to fix. Parts are everywhere. Pushrod V8, simple, basic, no nonsense, and they just keep chugging.
Hey guys, as you know, it is that time of year, the time of year where we start selling some of our long-term test fleet. And to do that, we've brought our old auction site back from the dead. TFLbids.com is back. And this week we're going to be selling not only our Suburban that we use for the Go Big video series, but also a pretty cool and pretty rare Kia Sorento. First generation, unknown off-roader that will surprise you. So go check out TFLbids.com and get yourself a beautiful Suburban at no reserve, or a first generation Sorento. More trucks to come on TFL Bids.
Now, before we get to number 4, I want to say that this exact Suburban is for sale right now. This, of course, was the Suburban used in the TFL truck video series, Go Big. It's my baby, but it's up for sale right now with no reserve. So whatever it sells for is what it's going to sell for. And all the proceeds are going to a charity, which is pretty cool. A really cool program, the Colorado State University Drone Program. A great group of folks out there. So up for sale right now. Link in the description, no reserve. Please go to a good home, buddy. Now, number 4 is the off-road capability of these rigs. When you think of off-road vehicles, you think of like Jeeps and Toyotas, and really not like 90s GM trucks, but they are insanely off-road capable for what they are. Now, solid rear axle, independent front suspension, but the low range gearing, the clearance is surprisingly awesome on these rigs. I'm going through trenches right now. The vehicle is at like a 20-25 degree side slope. Lots of traction out of these brand new BFG KO2 tires, and we're going to get it really articulated here. And it's going to spin on up. Come on, buddy. All right. Now, one of the cooler options on these vehicles is something called the G80, which is a rear differential locking rear diff. I don't know if this one has it. I got to check the RPO codes. It might not, or maybe it's just tired and worn out, but it doesn't really matter because the durability and the clearance on these is such that even if you do find yourself at a difficult obstacle, you kind of just power yourself through with a little momentum. You got to commit though. I'm used to driving these modern fancy vehicles which are expensive and precious. On these old rigs, you just gotta drop a gear and disappear. Come on, pick it out. There we go. There we go. It's remarkably comfortable for what it is. And with just a little bit of throttle, 4-wheel drive low, we made it through. That was awesome. That was really, really cool. So, yeah, I mean, basically we've got 2 open differentials, but with recovery points in the front, right? We got a couple skid plates underneath this thing. It just goes so many places. You just have to commit to the old school way of off-roading, which is put your pedal into the carpet and hang on. Number 3, The road tripability of this 1999 GMC is better than just about any other vehicle I've ever experienced. Now, we did take this on like a 600-700 mile road trip from here in Colorado to Utah for the Go Big series. And what I probably didn't do a very good job of getting across on camera is just how comfortable this vehicle is. If you get in like a new Suburban or a new Tahoe or even a new Escalade, the seats are pretty firm. There's a lot of bolstering. You can definitely tell they were inspired by German automakers like BMW and Mercedes, but German automakers build their cars for German roads, which are tight and technical and twisty. Here in the US, it's like 1,000 miles to Phoenix from Denver, and there's like seriously 1 or 2 turns. You just do this over and over and over and over and over, mile after mile. And these leather chairs are like lazy boy recliners. They are incredibly comfortable. It's a very quiet experience in here, and the suspension is calibrated like, I don't know, a 1910s steam yacht. It just like floats over everything, but that's what makes these so good on road trips. The gearing is good too. The V8 just kind of lumbers along at 2,000 RPM, and you just chill. That is one of my favorite parts about this 99 Suburban. Now, one other thing I want to talk about these seats. You'll notice that the leather is pretty cracked and it's torn quite badly on the driver's side here. Now, David, who's our ranch expert, he has owned tons of these, and he and a lot of other people actually have told me that the secret to the seats is to get the cloth. So the leather tears and kind of cracks easily, but the cloth seats on these just as comfortable and lasts even longer. Now, kind of complementing the road trip ability in these old Suburbans has to be the cargo capacity. 149.5 cubic feet worth of space for all sorts of friends and activities and anything you could think of short of a bowling alley back here. It's just awesome. So when I took this on the road trip, I took out the rear seats, and there's a lever, and it's a little heavy and cumbersome, but you can pull it out, and then even at 6 feet tall, I can lay at least 2 of me in here, maybe even 3. That's how much space there is. So space per dollar, it's hard to beat these 99 Suburbans. I also like these barn doors. They're not like super useful. Kind of the advantage of the liftgate, right, is that in a rainstorm you got a little bit of protection. The barn door doesn't offer any of that, although it does perhaps swing out a little bit less far than a traditional liftgate. I just like them. I think they're fun and kind of quirky. Now, one interesting thing I learned about this vehicle, these latches for the barn doors. Now, when I bought this vehicle, it was broken. So I did what you should do if you own a 99 Suburban. Don't buy it new, go to the junkyard, because there are tons of them in the junkyard. So I went to the junkyard, and there were 10 Suburbans with barn doors. I'm like, great, I can get a new latch. I searched through 8 of them, and 8 of them had the exact same problem where they just wear out and break. The 9th one was perfect, but I couldn't actually get the door open because someone had locked it, removed the battery, thrown the key away. And then the 10th one is this latch, and it's a little better than stock, but you still kind of got to yank on it. So common issue across the Suburbans, but old car quirks. Now, number 2 thing I've learned about the Suburban over the last 6 months, yeah, fuel economy is pretty bad. And now, of course, gas is really expensive, and we're looking at a 42-gallon tank. 42! Now, the advantage of a 42-gallon tank is you never need to fill it up. The fuel economy on this, you know, if you hit 15, you're doing pretty well. But even if you average 10 miles per gallon with a 44-gallon tank, that is a total driving range of 440 miles. 400 plus miles, and if you had 15 miles per gallon and you drive it nicely, you're doing much better than that. Of course, if you were to drain down to like 40 gallons at $4 a gallon, you do the math, you're going to be looking at $160 to fill this thing up. And if you live in California, a lot more than that. So the Pro, enormous fuel tank, so big they had to move the spare tire inside actually, because the fuel tank lives where the spare tire would. The con, fuel economy, pretty bad. And the number 1 thing I've learned about owning the GMC Suburban GMT-400 over the last 6 months is that these things are still as awesome as I thought when we first bought it. Now, yes, this one is a little bit old and a little bit worn out, but It's kind of hard to believe that it's the year 2022, and these are kind of approaching classic status. And this is, in my opinion, the sweet spot for classic SUVs. So the older Suburbans and trucks, like the square bodies, which were from the 73 through 87, they're amazing, but they're expensive now. Like a good one's going to be $20,000 to $25,000. The next gen, which was introduced in the trucks for 88 and the Suburbans a couple years later, are so much cheaper. They are dirt cheap in today's market, and they are so much fun. They are a great combination of kind of old world charm with the body on frame construction and the classic small block Chevy sound and the basic interiors and the ease of use and the cheapness to keep on the road. But then they have some modern day conveniences like ABS, like airbags in this model, which is nice, you know. Doesn't feel like you're driving around in a tin can. So it's the perfect combination, and these are still quite affordable, but I don't think they're going to stay affordable for much longer, because if you look at the trend, first like pre-73 GMs shot up in value, and then pre-87 GM shot up in value, and now this one's next. Well, let me know what you guys think about the GMT-400 Suburban. This one is for sale right now over at TFLbids.com. I have a link in the description below. Again, it's being sold at no reserve, with all the proceeds going towards the Colorado State University drone program. And if you want to learn more information about this one and some of its niggles, check out TFLbids.com. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next TFL Classics video.